Let's. Okay, the stream has started, and the thingy has thingied. Now it needs to show up here. There it is. Boom. Okay, ready to go?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Here it comes. Welcome to. Hold on, dog.
Curmudgeon barking.
Jetsky, I'm recording. Shut up. Welcome to Curmudgeon's Corner for Saturday, September 6th, 2025. It is just before 16:30 UTC as we're starting to record. I'm Sam Enter. Yvonne Bowe is here again. Hello, Yvonne.
Hi.
Hi,
Greetings.
Yeah, so as usual, we'll do a butt first with non-newsy stuff, and then we'll move into newsy stuff as the show proceeds. I will start out by saying I promised something last week when you were out that I have not yet completed, which was a time lapse of my wife's son and I moving her old Buick Riata over 6 feet to the left.
Oh!
Yeah, so I started to put that together from the video clips from our Ring camera, but I haven't finished. So I have not put that out yet, but I will. I will eventually. Now I say
but it's been done. But it was done. It
was done
without any destruction.
Without any destruction. It was done before last week's show. Actually, I mentioned it and said I was going to do a time lapse, but yeah. And now I say that I will produce this time lapse, but you should keep in mind there was once a snowstorm here in Seattle, in the Seattle area, that produced a couple feet of snow or whatever, and it took like over a month for all the snow to melt away. And I started building a time lapse of that whole snowstorm from the Apple Cam, and I called it Snow Lapse.
Snow Lapse, okay.
And I am still theoretically working on the Snow Lapse video. It has been at least a decade since that snowstorm. I have not finished it yet. But, eventually I'll put it out.
Look, at least I will say that you're consistent.
There you go. But, yes. So anyway. And I think I also, by the way, I'm going back and forth whether I just include the moving of the car or I also include the reason for the moving of the car, which was that we filled up a whole bunch of dumpster bags versus full of trash that needed to be taken away. And we needed to make room for, they were supposed to come in with a truck and pick up the things, and we needed to make sure they had room to come in and get them. So there's also the putting out of the bins, the filling of the bins, and the taking away of the bins. I could include that in the time lapse too. So anyway, my regular but first, however, will be, of course, oh no, things are happening.
Hang on, let me tell this person I will call him backstage.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Anyway.
Anyway, so of course my regular but first is going to be a couple movies, as it usually is these days, to try to like move that stuff along. What do you got, Yvonne? Like, did you have a good Labor Day? Did you have a good like long weekend thing?
Well, I mean, it turned out fine, even though it started with some of the slack. That I had this blowout at my a tire on my car on the highway at night on Thursday.
Yes.
Which one of the things that is just really irritating is that because a lot of new cars don't have spare tires. Probably yours doesn't. I'm going to guess.
No,
Yeah,
it does not.
It's one of these
There's
things that's really
there's a little
irritating.
like kit thing that I
That
don't
shit
even
doesn't
like.
work. I already
It's nothing.
tried that once. Shit doesn't work. I don't understand how they're getting away. That shit only works if you've got a minor puncture, like you got a nail, slow leak, whatever. But anything else beyond that, it doesn't matter. Um, and the one thing is that for safety reasons, this has happened to me for whatever reason twice in the last 3 years. And my choice has been, if it happens on the highway, especially on the highways here in South Florida, where they have made the shoulders a lot smaller than they used to be, meaning that if you get off the road, you really have very little margin for safety. On both occasions, I have decided that I will drive that tire as is until I manage to get off an exit and onto a safe place to park. Okay?
Right.
There is no way that I will stand on the side of the road, especially since on both occasions I immediately knew the tire was not repairable. It was not replaceable. I can't do anything. All I'm going to do is just sit on the side of the road to wait for a fucking tow truck, and I might as well sit on a nice, safe place instead of in an unsafe location. So I dragged it to the turnpike stop. I left the car. It was at night. There's no towing it to anywhere. I took an Uber home. I left it there overnight, and then the next day I came to get the car with the I mean, I called actually roadside from Volvo. They have roadside whatever. They towed it to the dealer and they put a new tire on it. This is really the only thing. I mean, the tire was like shredded to bits. So that was the one thing that I was trying to take care of. And there was like a concert. I was going to some other stuff. But then the other thing that has been keeping us super busy is I've mentioned here that I was doing all this work to try to claim Spanish citizenship. Okay.
Right. Yes.
Which has been quite time consuming in the sense of gathering all the required documents. Okay. But the key document that, in order to do this, which has been a document that I've been chasing for months, and I had asked my mom, she needs to get it. It's like, look, we needed her grandfather's birth certificate, okay, because he was the one that was born in Spain and moved over to Puerto Rico in the early 1900s, okay, or late 1800s. No, it was late 1800s. And the thing is that, needed to get this birth certificate in Spain. Okay. And I'm like,
okay.
well,
yes.
I guess, or unless it was in my grandmother's paperwork or something. And I said, Mom, you need to get that birth certificate. Okay. But asking her sister or whatever, come to find out that my cousin, one of my first cousins, had also figured out, decided that they wanted to claim this citizenship, but they had an edge on me. They knew the Spanish consul in Puerto Rico, because there is a consulate for Spain in Puerto Rico. Okay, and she knew the guy, so she asked him for help to get the birth certificate, and lo and behold, we were able to get that birth certificate. Okay, which is just I shared a clip of it. It's just what he's. I mean, the birth certificate isn't a birth certificate. They put all of these in books
Mm-hmm.
where they registered the births. I guess at some point the government of Spain, as many governments, they digitized a lot of these records so you could make them searchable. You had the copies, and we're able to get that. But then you have to get all this document trail to show, okay, great, that's your great grandfather. You got to get your grandmother's birth certificate, and then you got to get your mother's birth certificate. So you got to show the trail of how every
Person is
person is
connected to
connected.
the ones before.
Right,
Yeah.
to the one that was born in Spain. There's also a thing that Spain had passed a law recognizing that a lot of people in between the late 1800s and up until the dictatorship of Franco that were Spanish citizens were stripped of their citizenship for various reasons. Okay? And that included everybody that lived in Puerto Rico. When the U.S. Invaded Puerto Rico, because the U.S. Was invaded. Okay, it was a bloodless invasion, but it was still an invasion. Okay, it started, and they took over the Spanish-American War and the treaty that ensued. They had taken possession of Cuba, the Philippines, and Puerto Rico. One of the things that happened is that for some reason, in the treaties, Puerto Ricans wound up stateless in a certain way.
Mm.
Nobody recognized Puerto Rican citizenship. There was such a thing that existed between 1898 and 1914, but it was useless. You couldn't really travel with it. And then at some point in the U.S., they said, okay, in between that time period, we'll allow Puerto Ricans to go and they can go to mainland U.S. and be naturalized. Okay? So we could do that. But that was complicated. Okay? Now, for some reason, Cuba and the Philippines, I guess because Puerto Rico was a lot smaller. Puerto Rico had I'm not even sure if it had 1 million people back then. Cuba and the Philippines were way bigger. That was pretty clear what it was. I believe that they were colonies, they were countries, they had a citizenship, okay, that was Cuban or Filipino citizenship established. Puerto Rico was the one that was a little bit in flux, and I think also in part was because there was a time period where Puerto Rico was kind of like treated to a certain extent like a province of Spain.
Mm.
So people in Puerto Rico were Spanish citizens. But look, after the war, Spain stripped everybody that was there the Spanish citizenship. Even if you were born in Spain and you were you had your residence in Puerto Rico, you lost your citizenship. Period. Okay.
Nice.
So that created a situation that eventually Congress debated this for a long time. For racist reasons, they said, "No, we can't make that a state." But I will say that given the time, to their defense, they said, you know what? They were completely leaning. We need to give them just citizenship. The hell with it. Okay? It's not that many people, really. This solves a problem. Right now, they can't travel. They don't have citizenship. The only limitation was the one that was a geographic limitation. It wasn't even like a virtue of.
Hold on. I got a error that says the recording has stopped, and also I was going to stop you at the end of this anyway because you sound funny. I'm gonna.
Yeah, well, apparently there's some kind of problem, technical problem.
Yeah. It says I need to refresh. It says something went wrong and you aren't being recorded anymore. Everyone else is still being recorded. Refresh and rejoin from a regular browser, not incognito. I'm not in incognito mode, but I'm gonna refresh and see what happens.
All right, let me get a paper towel while you do this. Hold on. Were you able to refresh?
No, I've got the spinning wheel of death at the moment.
Oh, that's great. We're
Now
off
our
to a
live stream is still going. I still see us over in
we're off to a
on
roaring
YouTube.
start.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna give it like. Okay. I'm back.
Okay.
Okay, so before hold on. Okay. What's it doing? Okay, talk again. Let me see if you still sound like crap. And by the way,
Do
my
I sound like
uploading
crap?
percentage is. So yeah, like at first it sounded like you just have a cold. Do you have a cold?
No.
Okay, because your voice is like pitched down, like and really low compared to
No.
like. Okay, not really low, not like.
No. But
just a
I
little
don't
bit
I don't have a
lower than
cold.
you usually. Okay. I
I didn't
also
take my
sometimes was hearing.
well, okay. Well, I didn't take my decongestants, but I don't think I'm sounding different than normal. I don't think.
Okay.
No, I don't feel
Du-
it.
Double check your microphone connections, but like it doesn't sound like distorted. It literally just sounds like you have a cold.
I mean,
And every once in a while, there was like a scratchy noise, like a loose connection, but that could have been me because obviously my thing just went wild.
yeah.
Now I'm only at 45% uploading right now.
Okay,
It's
you
like
have a problem because I'm at
it's
99%.
increasing fast though. It's 47, 48.
That's not
Now
fast.
it was before the crash. It was at like 97. So I don't know what the hell happened. It's recovering. It looks like. Give it a minute. And like the live stream's going fine. I see myself over there, no problem. I saw myself on the live stream even after Riverside seemed to have crashed.
You had rebooted before we started the show, right? Yeah.
Right before we started, yeah.
Of course, you're using Chrome. You know, you do realize that I'm doing this in Safari because it
You
works on
told me
Safari.
it works
now.
in Safari now. Yeah. But now the thing is, I have Safari doing the the YouTube live stream too.
Okay.
So like,
yeah.
I mean, I could try it in a different window of it, but anyway, let's see. We're up to 53, 54,
Oh
55,
yeah, this is like
56.
really rising quickly.
Yeah, let's wait till it's in the 90s and then we'll start again. And sorry for stopping you in the middle. Don't know if you have any idea where you stopped, but
I believe I was explaining what was
and I'm presuming all the
about
backups exist
act of
properly
Congress.
for. Yeah, yeah. I'm presuming everything got saved properly, and I have backups. If I have nothing else, I have the YouTube stream. So, anyway, 62, 63.
Oh, this is not going well. I mean, are you, I mean, is your connection fine? I mean, I had seen you freeze up while we were talking earlier as well on my end.
Yeah, 65. Let's see, is it? What's my network doing? No, no backups going or anything. Although, what's that one? NS URL session D is downloading a bunch of stuff right now. We're getting there. Give it like 2 more minutes and then we'll start. Oh, 99. It just jumped from 70 to 99. Okay.
See, the thing is, I pulled up the live stream, and it mirrors exactly what I see over here. Your quality of video on the live stream is
It's
highly
sucky right
variable.
now.
But it always
Oh,
is like that.
variable.
Except mine isn't.
Well, yes.
Well, yes.
Although that's weird. I mean, even though you have a like, I mean, you have like gig and I have like 400 or something, but like what you need for an HD live stream is like 1.
No. I
You
get
know,
that, but the only difference is that, remember, I have this wired to the router instead of through Wi-Fi, and I
that's
don't care
true.
what the
That's
fuck
true.
anybody says about Wi-Fi. It's not as good as a fucking wire to the router.
And you know, the pluggy thing is just a few feet away. I mean, I
You
could
could just
theoretically
fucking
plug in.
plug in a goddamn Ethernet cable into the stupid thing.
Yeah, but that's like it's like evil.
Work.
Evil. Okay, shall we resume? Okay, pick up where you left off. Sorry.
And so Congress has spent a
your
lot of
recording
time.
has stopped. Your recording has stopped. It just says it again. Hold on.
Dude, you need to
It
reboot
seems
this
to be
fucking thing.
going though. Okay. Something
I
went
think you
wrong.
need.
You aren't.
I think you need to.
Reboot again.
I don't see
Or,
any other choice. I mean, this is not going anywhere fast.
okay, you stay on because I picked up at the same time and the live stream kept going with you. At the very least, I should. I have spinning wheel of death again. Last time I didn't even restart Chrome. I just refreshed like it said.
I think you need to quit everything and restart.
Just reboot everything. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think you got much of a choice. I mean, this is the second time that's happened. It's not. There we go. Ugh. Sure. We are the Curmudgeons doing a live stream. I am a lone curmudgeon because Sam's computer shit the bed. Da 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 da. Ba ba da ba 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 ba. I can't sing worth a damn. I am on live stream. I hate being alone on the live stream. I need Sam to get back here. Nothing I just said rhymes. It's why I'm not an artist. Please, for the love of God, can you get Sam to fix his shit? Bum.
Hello again.
Hello?
Okay, hold on. It is you sound normal again too now, by the way.
Oh!
Okay, we're up to 80% uploading. 85, 90, 70.
Well, if you
85.
have the time and you want to retrieve one of the world's worst songs ever,
Oh, don't worry. I will undoubtedly
you can
capture
go
it.
and like pull that clip and embarrass me for the rest of time.
Okay. We are in the 90s again. Let's try this one more time. And that also means like this whole time you may have been recording just fine, like you sounded fine this whole time. It was just I was hearing you weird as an indication of a potential problem. Okay.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay, so Puerto Ricans, this whole situation, Congress kept dallying around. For some reason, they didn't get to it. They wanted to do it before World War One. I do think in part because they needed people. Okay, so for the war, but they didn't get around to granting Puerto Rican citizenship until like 1917, and it was under the Jones Act. And the one thing about that is that Puerto Rican citizenship, and this has been a point of debate, exists by virtue that we by a law passed, okay, which in theory some have discussed, also could mean that you could, by eliminating the law, then we no longer would be citizens, okay.
Right.
And this is a tricky thing, and this has been discussed. I'll tell you that I don't know how, given the current state of things, nothing would be shocking at this point of some kind of like craziness that happens. So the Spanish government several years ago, in recognition of the turmoil that happened in that period, where Spain endured quite a extended period of instability, the late 1800s through until the end of the Franco dictatorship, passed a law that allowed people that were stripped of, and relatives of them that were stripped of their citizenship from Spain to reclaim it. Okay, and the process, basically you need to do this filing with the documents where you show your your familiar relationship, how it connects it, and submit it. There is a deadline to submit that is October 20th of this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so now the thing is
so
that
you're running right up against the deadline here.
Well, here's the good news.
Was this a deadline set like years ago?
Yeah, it was like set a couple of years ago. Yeah, but here's the thing. They had a deadline to do it last year. They extended it 1 year. But okay, I had looked into this and was like, I wasn't really that motivated to do so. But given the recent electoral events, then I did become far more interested in this. But then the thing is that I had said this to my family, and now everybody in my family wants to claim this as well. So all of a sudden, it's just a blizzard of paperwork in order to get all the documents to do this, like right now. I mean, at least but the one most important one was my great grandfather's birth certificate,
Right.
which thankfully my cousin who had one,
Yeah, you
you know,
mentioned
I
that.
have a lot of cousins, but only one of them had the brilliant idea that, hey, the same idea as me to do so, but they also had one edge that I did not have, is that they actually knew the Spanish consul, so they were
Right,
able
right.
to procure that birth certificate. Which I think I was mentioning. These are books, man. It's just freaking books. They kept and they scanned and they registered this thing. It's just crazy. But right now, basically, I've got that. Uh, all of my siblings, and as far as I can tell, almost all of my nephews
Mm-hmm.
are submitting this. They want to submit their applications. All of them. I all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
look,
so are you helping all of them, or are they just all, or
I
is
right now,
everybody
yes.
doing their
Now
own thing?
the first no, I am helping all of them. The thing is that the first thing I had to do, it was important that the first thing to do, which I just spent the other day, and I got confirmation that it was successfully submitted, was to my mom's.
Mm-hmm.
So I got that done, and I do have a confirmation that it was properly submitted before the deadline and so forth. They said on the site that if for some reason you submitted something, that a document that needs correction or something, that by virtue of just submitting it, they will give you time. If you say, hey, you didn't submit this right, you need to correct this, you have time to do that. So just by putting it in before the deadline, that gives you that. Eventually, they will review the documents. They will set you up to have an appointment at the Spanish consulate to review, and then you can get the citizenship awarded. The one thing, there's no residency requirement for this either.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to, and there's and it can be a dual citizenship also as well. Um, so it seems pretty straightforward right now. But yeah, but it's but it was complicated to get all the documents just straightened out, and the forms that you had to fill out, things. I always have to remember also that dates. You remember that the U.S. convention for writing down a date is not the same
Yes.
as the rest of the world.
No.
I kept the one thing is that just remembering that I have to write. I'm actually used to it. The one thing is that I think I came up with a website that it was like, I was like, okay, look, I'm doing this in Spanish, so I have to put day, month, year, not the other way. And then for some reason, the damn website was trying to do it one place where I didn't expect that to be needed. It tried to do it the reverse, and I'm like, what the fuck? Why are you rejecting my date, you idiot? I'm like, why are you asking for it in English format instead of? By then I realized it was just the format. It's just like, you know. But you have to just. It's just a. It was.
It's a
It's a
long,
process.
involved, convoluted process.
And then things like, for example, look, I'm sitting down with my mom. My mom doesn't know how to write an email.
She should use ChatGPT.
But here's the one thing. Well, no, she doesn't know. She doesn't know. Come on. Here's the interesting thing. I think it's more refusal than anything else. I will tell you this. It's not that she can't. It's not that she doesn't want to. Because I remember when we were growing up, we had we had computer system at the pharmacy to process like prescriptions and everything, and like our account, customer accounts or whatever. She used that perfectly without a problem. Okay, all right. It was a freaking IBM,
Whatever. Right.
whatever. Yeah, and it's like it was just and she used one of these like mainframe type terminals. She used that perfectly fine. I just don't think she wants it. So all of a sudden, to her, me making copies and scanning documents seemed like magic. My father, by the way, who has all these gadgets to do this, basically every time he has to scan a document, has to call me to figure out how to scan a document. Okay, he doesn't understand how to scan a document yet. Okay, or he will call me. So how do you do this? I'm like, for the love of God, look, you see the thing, the image. Okay, place it. Where it says, you see how it's got the stuff written? That means that direction up. And then my father, damn it, I'll tell you something he did. He bought a combination printer, scanner, copier thing that he has.
As
Okay.
are common, yes.
Yeah, as are common. Okay. That works pretty decently, except for one thing. It doesn't do double-sided scanning. And I find that quite irritating. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I be honest? That's just asinine. Okay. Why would you have a printer that can do double-sided printing, but not double-sided scanning? I mean, that was just asinine with that thing. Here's another thing I discovered. Okay, all right, by doing this all on my father's place, my dad has a laptop, an iPad, an iMac. He just buys shit. He doesn't know how to use most of it, but he just has it all. Okay. I realized that I went to use his iMac that was directly connected to the scanner, okay, to do this. Number one thing that's a little bit perturbing is that for some reason the app for Yandex, the Russian search engine, is installed on there. I had removed it already several times.
Okay.
I don't know why it keeps reinstalling.
Oh, that's good.
Who keeps doing this? And so that's very perturbing. Okay, all right. And I removed it before, Sam. I know that I went and I removed this, and I'm like, why the fuck is this thing? Why is Yandex back on here? Okay. But then, I did use it to scan some documents on it because for some reason originally I couldn't. I was under my father, for whatever reason, has two Wi-Fi networks. I don't understand why, so I couldn't connect. I couldn't. And at first, I was on the wrong Wi-Fi network that my computer or my iPad couldn't find the damn multifunction. Okay, then I realized I'm on the wrong Wi-Fi. I had to switch over. But before I did that, I used the iMac. But I realized something, Sam. That iMac, I'm shocked. It works even though it's got the Russian a thing or whatever. I was like, all of a sudden, I scanned and I looked at the interface. It seems like a very old Mac OS interface. This isn't like recent. I'm like, how old is this thing? I did realize, I opened the about. This is a 2014 iMac that somehow still runs. You see, I had a couple of iMacs dating to that day that died on me. My father's, which has been on continuously, he does not shut it off, is a 2014 iMac. So it's 11 years old. And by the way, it still works pretty reasonably well.
Yeah.
I did stuff. It's not like it was like crawling to a slope, whatever. No, I was able to scan the documents, airdrop them, do whatever. And I'm like, holy shit, this thing works. So my mom was like totally like completely like shocked at my skills of doing this. There's another thing also. I submitted to this site. The file sizes had to be under 1 megabyte.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck me. I scanned all of these. I say, hey, they have to be. First, I think it said in some place, scan them in full color. Okay, scan them in full color. Okay, great. Well, and I'm like, well, oh man, but they can't be over 1 megabyte. I'm like, God damn it! You want high quality, and then you're trying to get me to freaking shrink the size like 70-80%. People, make up your damn mind, okay? Whoever designed this damn site. Anyway, after going through all of that, shrinking the files, using the 10-plus-year-old technology, impressing my mom with my ability to fill out a PDF without actually printing it. My mom actually had to send some letters to my aunt to have her go and be able to go to the office of Puerto Rico that has it's called the demographic registry. Okay, all right, that's actually the actual title of Puerto Rico. That's where they have birth certificates, marriage licenses, all records of all that stuff. My mom wrote the letter by hand because she doesn't. That's the thing. She didn't know
Okay.
how else to do it. She wrote it by hand now. Now I will admit she wrote it by hand. Now she didn't know how to send it. So I had to have my nephew go over there, take a picture of that letter, and somehow send it to my cousin, who was able to print it and then give it to my mom's sister, who also doesn't know how to use any technology.
Of course, yeah.
So she can go over there and do this. So anyway, this has been a little bit of an ordeal. And then I got all my brothers calling me, "Hey, how do you fill out this shit?" Fine. Look, listen, just I now I got this barrage of people, like all of them, asking for help to do this. But it's still the one thing underlying me doing this is a sense of anger.
Right.
Because of why the hell I'm doing this.
Yes, because of everything going on. Let's just put it that way. What let me ask, and before we move on to my movies and stuff. Obviously, the purpose of having this Spanish citizenship, which in turn gives you EU citizenship, right?
Correct.
Is to give a potential escape route if things get really bad, right?
Yes.
Look, thinking through this, what kind of things would actually trigger you saying, "Fuck this, I'm out. You're moving to Europe"?
I think the key has to do with protections for money. Mm-hmm. Because there are certain laws that give my son certain protections, and also there is a whole bunch of funding that has been available to kids with autism that comes from the federal government, state governments, et cetera, and so forth. I mean, RFK Jr. has openly expressed his disdain for people with autism, saying that they're a burden on everybody and so forth and so on, and society in general.
Mm-hmm.
And you keep getting all these wacko funding cuts just to give tax cuts to rich individuals. That means to the wealthier people, but which, by the way, includes me in a certain sense. But you know what? The tax cut does not make up for the loss of benefits that my son would get. It doesn't at all. And so I'm worried about protections. What are the things? I'm worried about what he might do to people of Puerto Rican to Steve Miller and his minions, and would start getting fucking ideas of what they might do to people of Puerto that have citizenship by virtue of something like how we have it, for example. Yeah, these guys have been making every damn move, and what the hell the Supreme Court starts doing, But I think that the number one thing is my concern about what programs and protections that my son can have in the future. And I know that in the EU, especially in certain countries, and not across the EU, there are a lot more protections and programs.
It does vary a lot by country. Like I've heard
it does vary a lot by country,
France,
but I know,
for instance.
But for example, I know that the Dutch, for example, had been experimenting with, for example, building these villages that basically were, hey, these people need to live in a place where they have certain protections, so they can be more independent, where it's not like we're confining them to an institution. No, we're going to build a village to where they can go shop, they can go do stuff. They have everything that they have inside a perimeter, where all the protections that they need, just to make sure that they have services, and we make sure that they're not exposed to like an environment where they could get hurt, that they could live like comfortably, but giving them the independence to be on their own, so they can go to the grocery store, they can go to the do stuff, they can do whatever. They have all of these things, but also have an extra layer of protection for folks.
And all this, of course, depends on the support level that's needed, which varies highly.
Right. And exactly, because it's like something to like give people, hey, let's give people independence, but let's also give them because they can do stuff independently. The concern is, hey, you want them to do it independently, but you also have them to have some additional layer of protection to them. It's this kind of middle ground. They're also trying to do that with older people and other stuff and whatever. Because one of the things that they do in the U.S., hey, we stuff them in a nursing home, and they're stuck in this fucking place, in this one building with very little, very little stuff to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's kind of like, it's very depressing, okay, the way that this is set up. But you go and you change that into a situation where, well, no, they're not stuck in a fucking building. You're placed in a community where you have all the benefits of living in a community. Like sometimes, like I'm not gonna. Gosh, it's a terrible example. You think of places like the Villages, for example, something like that, where people go to retire. But kind of like similar. Hey, you've got like the town, you got the whatever, but then you add all this layer of protection around them, so we know. Hey, we know that we're making sure that we're keeping them safe at the same time, and you have the resources to keep people safe, which I think it's a great idea. My wife had an idea of a similar concept like that she kept thinking about building something like that in the U.S.
Bottom line, your trigger that would be like, I gotta get the hell out, would be if some of the protections and benefits that exist right now for you and your son start getting withdrawn.
Yeah. Now, one thing that I do have, thankfully, is a flexibility, and going to Spain, and I know that is that well, I can speak the language, and so the one thing is that I also can probably get transferred to a job with my company there as well.
Right.
Because I don't think I don't think it'd be really practical for me to be working the Caribbean from Europe. So that would be a little bit more complicated. But I could get a job, in a similar thing, doing that in Europe, and with the company, and I wouldn't lose a number of things and benefits that I have as being part of the company. And I mean, it gives. Listen, I'm doing this because my wife was like, "Well, what are you doing? Are we moving to Spain?" Like, no, we're not doing that right now. But you know what? I feel so uncomfortable right now. I want to have a plan B. Okay.
Right.
We need to have a. This is bad enough that there needs to be a plan B in place. Period.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that like we didn't really stay light and frothy for that first segment. Got a little serious, but anything else before I do movies?
No, let's go to movies.
Okay, so 2 movies this time that were watched. We're still this first one, November 30th of 2024. And then the second one will be December 1st of 2024 when I watched these originally. The first one is once again going through AFI's list of movies down to number 15 on the 1998 100 Years, 100 Movies list. And that is the original 1977 Star Wars. Which obviously I have seen before. And I'm actually like, we're going through the Star Wars franchise in order, and we are past that at this point. We like, but went back to watch the 1977 original.
Okay, question.
Yes.
Question.
Which
I don't even know if this is possible.
Yes.
Can you watch, if you want to watch Star Wars right now? Can you find the original one instead of the one with all the edited bits?
Not so. There have been people who have reconstructed it, and you can find this online, where people have meticulously gone back and done the best through all of the available materials and tried to reconstruct the original. The original is very hard to find. Like, I remember just a few months ago, somewhere in Europe, there was a showing of an original 35 millimeter print in a
Oh
theater.
wow!
Like, somebody that had been like
Yeah, somebody
kept
had
in
the
like
print.
somebody had the print, kept it in cold storage, it was in good condition, whatever. They and they had they apparently, I think, did it legally. They got permission. For the most part, George Lucas has done everything humanly possible to prevent the original version from being re-released in an accessible format. You know, his notion is that the versions he re-released are the real version of Star Wars. That's what he wanted all along. He just couldn't do it with the technologies of the
Yeah, with the
1970s.
technology at the time. Yeah, okay.
You know, but of course, a lot of people are like, you know, the 1977 version, as released in the theaters, that's what won all the awards. That's what got
Correct.
everybody excited originally, you know, and we don't need you like retroactively re-adding a CGI Jabba the Hutt, for instance, like
Right.
that they did
Exactly.
at one point. That
Right.
what wasn't even really a great Jabba the Hutt, although they've subsequently changed it multiple times to make it better over time. But and so like there are sort of fan enthusiast groups who have done various forms of reconstructions. If you Google it, you can find these people, you can find articles about what they've done. I mean, literally, there's people who have spent years of their lives meticulously getting the best possible available source material and reconstructing that original movie, plus trying to do some like non-destructive, like make it seem like the quality is consistent even though they're moving getting it from different sources, you know, whatever, like they're, and apparently some of these are really really well done. I mean, it's like professional quality, re-edited, back together, back how the original is. But George Lucas does not make it easy, and Disney doesn't make it easy, because this was one of George Lucas's conditions of the
Conditions,
sale
I'm
to
gonna guess.
Disney,
Yeah, I see.
that
Yeah.
the original never be released. Right now, you know, who knows if there's some like loophole that after George Lucas passes away, they can do something. And obviously, like, this is a you know, the average person who wants to go watch Star Wars not only wouldn't care, but would probably prefer the newer versions,
Right.
you know, to the older versions. Like, if you remember, like, I remember watching when Star Wars was on TV, like, you know, in the 80s or whatever, and they would re-put, you could see the little rectangles around the spaceship because the black levels weren't quite right, because they were calibrated for the theater, but then when you put them on the
Right.
TV
Right. Right. Right.
screen, you
But
could
not for
see the
TV.
thing.
Yeah. 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 Makes sense.
and,
Yeah.
and some of that stuff you could see if you paid close attention, even in the theaters, even originally. I mean, it was good for the 1970s, but it wasn't perfect, you know.
Right.
And we do have better technology now, and a lot of things that Lucas did in the reissues improved quality in various ways, improved lighting. I mean, I think the things that people object to are the, let's add a completely new CGI animal in the background of this scene that trips over its feet and does some comic relief that like is actually distracting from what was happening in the
Right.
scene. You know, because there are a few of those where he just added stuff. I mean, George Lucas is really into the technology, and he likes showing off the technology, and he likes, you know, oh,
I mean, he
we
was
can
a
do this, so
guy
let's
that
do it.
founded Industrial Light and Magic. Okay,
Yes.
I mean, it was basically the powerhouse for special effects in Hollywood for a long time, and CGI and all of this shit. So yeah, I mean, he really liked this shit. It's not. This isn't just because he wanted to improve the movie. He really, really liked the technology, and I'm sure
Well,
he in his head, it's like you said. It was like, damn it, that's how I wanted it to look back then, but the technology didn't exist.
right. And look, it's been said over and over again, like this is the part of the movie making experience that George Lucas is really into.
Yeah.
Like the story and the writing and all that kind of stuff. Basically, the best movies are the ones where George Lucas had the least to do with that part of things. I mean, there's you can go find things that go into the detail of the original, the editing of the original Star Wars, for instance. And the first cut was crap. George Lucas's wife fixed it. Like she is the one who re-edited the story to make it good. She took out some parts that were crap. She reordered it. She fixed the pacing. She did all kinds of, like, the original Star Wars was a good movie because of George Lucas's wife, ex-wife at this point, not because of him. Empire Strikes Back had a different director. And when he got back in full control and did a lot of the writing and everything for the prequels, everybody was like, the writing here is crap. It's all wooden and whatever, and you've taken the life out of it. So and people will argue about those things, but anyway, original Star Wars, I have to give it a thumbs up. Oh, in terms of which version I watched, I did watch whatever the newest, latest, and greatest streaming version on Disney Plus.
Right? Yeah. You were not. Yeah, you weren't being picky. You went, okay, I want to watch.
I mean, Star Wars, and honestly, I've got copies of this. I've got copies of this on Blu-ray. I probably more than one over the years, but I still, like, when it was time to watch it, I'm just like, Disney Plus, come on. I'm not gonna like go through the pain in the ass of getting the physical copy here. We'll just watch it. And but bottom line, thumbs up. It's Star Wars. What the hell can you say? It's the original Star Wars that started the whole thing. It deserves most of the accolades. Some of the modifications for the new version, I do think, were detracted. I mentioned the Jabba the Hutt scene. There was, I mentioned this sort of creature in the background in Tatooine. Like, I could have done without those, but for the most part, good movie.
There you go.
It's Star Wars, Any additional thoughts on Star Wars from your side, Yvonne?
Listen, I'm sure I watched the last 2 years, and I give it a thumbs up. It looked good. I mean, yeah. I mean, it still works. My son really loves at Disney all the Star Wars
stuff.
Yeah, they've got a couple of rides. There was one that was an older one that they have updated massively called Star Tours, which he likes very much, and like Smuggler's Run, Rise of the Resistance, the entire village they've got. You've got regularly like Star Wars characters walking through, stormtroopers and others and whatever and whatnot. It is pretty cool. Everything they did over there for Star Wars.
And every once in a while, Anakin comes in and massacres the younglings.
Yes, yeah, that's always fun.
Yeah. Okay, next up. Let's get this done and over with.
Next. Like
those of you listening to the audio don't know, but we had like a half hour of technical difficulties, so we're
we got Sam's computer decided to I don't
completely
know.
crap out on me. Yes. Anyway, we are over that now and moving on. But I actually have to take my wife to the airport immediately after we finish recording. She's going to Europe again for some conference. She's like getting tours of like how they run ports in Europe and stuff. Anyway,
she's okay. All right. Well, you started saying the word port. I thought to say she's getting tours. How do you run porn? What the hell is going? What are these? What are we doing?
Ports.
Port.
P-O-R-T, like the place where ships come in and unload cargo.
Well, I mean, look, that could be some. Listen, as much as it's funny, it could be something that is actually important right from a regulatory standpoint. If you think about it, and how it's differently handled in Europe. So
Yeah, she's the vice chair of the transportation committee, so this is directly in her
Okay.
wheelhouse.
So she's transportation. Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Anyway, December 1st, 2024, I saw the Wicked in the movie theater. The
Okay.
Wicked Part One.
Okay. Can I be
Yes.
okay? I don't even know what the hell Wicked's about. I know that I've heard about it. I've heard people raving about it.
Okay.
I have. I had no interest, and honestly, my interest is so low that aside from the title, and aside
Mhm.
from that, a lot of people liked it.
Yes.
No clue what the fuck it's about.
Okay, so let me give you the background. First of all, have you heard of the Wizard of Oz?
Well,
Yes.
yes, that I've
Okay.
watched. Thing.
Wizard of
Did you
Oz
see that they did this Wizard of Oz thing at
at the
Sphere?
Sphere. Yes, I
Yeah,
did.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, I have not seen that, so I won't talk about it. But well, of course, now that you've brought it up, they expanded it with AI so that it shows it fills the whole sphere. It's
Yeah,
more immersive.
yeah.
It's an immersive experience as well, so that like if
Yes,
it's like there's stuff like coming at you, and then
yes,
there's like things
yes.
in the volume with you, um and it's shorter than the original movie. They cut like half an hour out of it. But there have been mixed reviews from that. Of there's some people who absolutely love it, and some people who are like they butchered the original. It's AI slop, etc. So, but whatever. Anyway, you've heard it. The original Wizard of Oz was first a book by L. Frank Baum, and then of
Mhm.
course there's the classic movie from I believe 1939. Was it?
Is it that old?
Um, yeah. Okay. Now I have to bring it up. Oz. Wikipedia. Okay, the 1939. Yes, and
Wow.
the novel was 1900.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
and there were actually like movie adaptations before the 1939 version, even, but obviously they're not as famous. Um, uh, the Wicked was first a book. Um, and let me make sure I have give you the correct information for it. Da, da, da. It is a novel from Gregory Maguire from 1995. The basic conceit of the novel is to retell the story of the Wizard of Oz, but from the Wicked Witch's perspective. Okay.
Okay. Interesting.
That is the fundamental thing. Now, I actually read the book years and years ago too. And here's the thing. The book itself is very dark, very twisted, very, let's say, adult. Like it involves like weird orgy sex scenes and stuff like
What?
that. Yes, between
Okay, the
like
book Wicked.
the book Wicked. Yes.
Yeah.
Involves like weird orgy sex scenes with animals and stuff. Okay. Um because one of course the Wizard of Oz has talking animals, right? So they are part of this.
Okay.
And just generally is very it is a serious like mind fuck kind of a book. Okay, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's very political. It's very there's a lot going on there. But then there was a musical on Broadway made out of it.
Correct. Yeah, that I've heard.
It takes away all of that stuff. Okay,
None of the orgy stuff.
None of the orgies, none of the like really weird perverted stuff like that gets like extracted. It's been on Broadway for many years now. I mean, it's still there as far as I know. Is it? Yeah. Anyway, I actually myself, Brandy, and our daughter Amy saw it with the original cast on Broadway.
Okay.
and liked it way back then. That was in the early 2000s. Um, uh, and basically, it's still the fundamental conceit is the same. You're telling the story of the Wizard of Oz, but it's the backstory of the Wicked Witch. So like, and I say telling the story of the Wizard of Oz, but it's actually starts way before the events of the Wizard of Oz and continues after the end of the events of Wizard of Oz a little bit. Like it basically ends at the same time as the Wizard of Oz, but as a little bit more. Um,
Okay.
and so you basically you have the backstory of the Wicked Witch and the Good Witch going to college together, like before, long before the Wizard of Oz happens.
So are they kind of like bending the timeline as well? Because the book was written in 1900. I
Yes.
mean, is this like a modernized thing? I mean, in terms of it's not really taking place, you know. I guess in the time frame of the original Wizard
There's
of
nothing in
Oz
it. There's nothing in it that where the time frame
is
of that
indicated.
matters. Like it is so much about the witches and the wizard and all of that kind of stuff that like the only place, like if you think about the Wizard of Oz, the only place where the time in the real world matters is to Dorothy, because it's sort of set
Right.
in the Dust Bowl,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right,
uh
right.
Great Depression era, before she goes to Oz. Okay.
Okay,
In the movie,
okay.
of course, like
In the movie, because in the book, obviously, that was
the book
before.
was 1900. We hadn't had
Right,
like
so
some
that
of those
had right,
events yet.
right, right. So that was, yeah, even that was modified. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, but in the musical and the V, like Dorothy plays so little a part. It's like an almost incidental thing. She's in the second half. We'll see. But like for the most part, it doesn't matter. You never see like the real world. It's all
Right,
taking
right.
place in Oz.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, that
Okay,
makes sense. Okay.
and so like fundamentally, like uh, it's a really interesting take, um, because it recontextualizes the events. So first of all, you learn about um, the witch's motivations, why she was doing what she was doing, the fact that maybe she's not really evil. Maybe she had good reasons for everything she was doing, and she's just misunderstood, and blah blah blah. Um, and it there's a whole background about how the wizard was subjugating the talking animals and hold on, dog. And there's a whole subplot like of the wizard was subjugating the talking animals, and the there's a whole subplot. There's a whole subplot. The wizard was subjugating the talking animals, and this is why the witch was sort of rising up in rebellion to defend the animals, and blah blah blah. Anyway, bottom line, musical was great. I like the fact that we actually saw the original cast, although apparently all the subsequent casts have been good too in various ways. Um, the movie version was split into two parts. Part one came out last year. Part two is coming out this year in November, I believe. And basically, yeah, the cast here, like the original, it was what Christian. Let's see. Where's the musical? Just making sure. Okay, the original musical with the cast that we saw was Kristen Chenoweth as Galinda, which is the good witch, and Idina Menzel as Elphaba, which is the bad witch. The movie version has Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande as the two main characters. And obviously there are a bunch of things you can do in a movie that you can't do in a stage play. It was really good. I enjoyed it. I mean, the source material was good, and they did a really good implementation of converting it into a movie. It was a lot of fun. We went with Brandy was also I think in Europe, or at least on some trip when we did. No, she was in Pennsylvania. Anyway, she was gone when we did this. So my son, my daughter, and my mom and I watched this in the theaters. I enjoyed it a lot. My mom's main feedback was it was too loud. Obviously it is a musical. So if you do not like musicals in general, you're going to have the same feelings about this one. They sing all the time. It's the whole point of the thing. There are a bunch of famous songs, but they thumbs up. Really good version of this. I'm actually intending to watch part 2 in the theaters when it comes out too. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, like you said you have no interest whatsoever, blah blah blah. I'd say like if you generally hate movie musicals, then you're gonna hate this too because it's a
Miss, that's not
musical.
that's the problem. I'm not big on musicals. I don't really like movie musicals. So this is why I was pretty sure that I'm just like I remember now. I remember that there was the musical, but like I said, I you mentioned it, and I was struggling. I forgot about the musical.
Right.
I will say this: I like more a musical than a movie musical.
Like if you're going to the theater,
If I go to the theater, I find that way more enjoyable than watching a movie that's made out of the musical.
Right. Okay. Yeah,
I don't
that's
know
fair.
why that is, but I find it irritating in a movie, and I find it cool, like when I'm watching it being performed live.
And I'll say, for a movie, it is not my favorite genre at all. Like I do find like lots of music, lots of movie musicals. I can find like what the hell is the point of this?
Right.
But there are a few classics. I mean, the original Wizard of Oz movie was a musical.
I mean, I guess Grease was a musical. I like
Grease
that
was a
movie.
music. I haven't seen Grease.
Movie musical.
Grease isn't.
Yeah, Grease was a movie musical.
Why isn't this? Yeah, Grease is not on this list. So I've not seen Grease.
You've never watched Grease?
No, I've seen clips.
Well, obviously, I mean, everybody has seen clips, but you've not watched them. Well, Grease was a movie musical.
Yes, I know that much. And
yeah, but
I will make sure
I guess I did like list. Grease.
Well, here's the thing: movie musicals to me are the kind where there are a lot of bad ones, but there are a handful of really good ones, and I think this fits into that category.
Okay, so that could be it. Okay, fair.
My
My wife would, but probably I'm not even sure if she's watched it. I don't know, but I know this would be completely up my wife's alley. You start with The Witches, number one, which for some reason right now, everything that she's watching on TV is around witches, demons, things. I don't know. It's like it's like like with me with like air disasters, Law and Order. To her, it's like I don't know, demons and witches and werewolves, and that's all she watches.
Yeah, my wife's into those things too. We should get them together. But like the thing that gets me from the very beginning, and I like this genre in general, is sort of the take a character from a well-known story and reconceptualize the story around them. I think that's a genre I like because it's an interesting sort of mental exercise as well. Like what like this is the bad guy in the story, right? In the original Wizard of Oz, the witch is just like evil and bad, and there's not much thought actually given to her character beyond evil and bad, right? Wants to hurt people, wants to do whatever. And this like expands that out and um really makes it make sense to the point where once you've watched this, you sort of think like, oh, this is what really happened. Forget what they showed in the original movie. That's obviously just Dorothy propaganda or whatever. This is what's really going on. This is the scenario. The witch was wronged. Anyway, thumbs up to Star Wars, thumbs up to Wicked. Let's take our break. What do you want? What do you want real quick? We're running behind because we had our I want to get done here. I don't know what you want from this. Two Curmudgeon's Corner from Alex. What Two Curmudgeon's Corner for Alex? I don't know. Alex has handed me a note with a list of how to actually make money from Curmudgeon's Corner. Okay. So here is his list.
Let's start with porn. Are we doing an OnlyFans? Curmudgeon's Corner OnlyFans
with you and I? As
yeah.
The main.
Yes.
I'm
sure. I think.
That
I think people would probably pay for us to stop.
I think you're probably right. Okay. Number 1, Ablesmay passport required to listen.
Yeah, that's definitely going to make us profitable. Well,
number 2, become millionaire.
Oh, yeah, okay. Sure. Okay.
Number 3, the White Noise Christmas special.
Now that I like. That I like. Okay. Yeah.
Number 4, the Abelfnaf brand deal. So Abelfnaf is that game I'm working on. So
yeah.
Number 5, no swearing.
Oh, fuck
We've tried and failed so many times. Well, we've tried to reduce it. We've never tried to eliminate it.
That's not going to work.
Doesn't work. Number 6, TikTok exclusives.
Yeah. Maybe.
Next, and I'm losing count because he only had bullets and I was adding the numbers. And I can't count this high.
Yeah, well.
True binary clock brand deal. For anybody who has not seen it, on ablesmay.com, I have a true binary clock that you know those things you can buy like binary clocks that try to do all the numbers in binary and it's just a bunch of dots that light up. But my problem is they convert all the digits to binary. So like if you have the time right now,
and it doesn't. Date and time or just the time?
No, it's just the ones you can buy right now. Like if you can go out and buy binary clocks all over the place, and like they do, like if it is 12:56, they will have the binary for 1, the binary for 2, the binary for 5, the binary for 6, and that's the display. But I've always had a problem with this, that if you're actually going to do binary time, you should divide the day up in a binary way. So half days, quarter days, eighth days, etc. So on my website, if you go to applesmay.com and then click on True Binary Clock, there is a 4x4 grid, each of which is a little ball that lights up or does not, based on dividing the time in the way that I said. The 16th one is just a little bit over a second, if I remember right, or maybe it's just a little bit under a second, but it's close to a second. And the first one is a half day, half day, quarter day, et cetera, all the way down. And so this gives you a little display that's a true binary clock. And yeah, I've toyed around over the years with the idea of building a physical one of these, but I don't have the right skills. So now maybe AI could tell me how to now. So I could just have ChatGPT like give me the schematics for a proper true binary clock that I can send to some like place in China and have them make millions of them for me and sell them.
Uh-huh. Okay, there you go.
Anyway, that brand deal. Oh, and then here we go. Spin-off TV show.
Well, spin-off TV show.
Well, we do have their live stream.
Yeah,
but it's not
I
quite
don't know.
the
We
same
got to
as a
sell it
spin-off.
to like, I don't know. I guess we don't sell it to like the networks anymore. We got to sell it to like what, Netflix, Apple TV.
Yeah, and this would not just be like a video version of the podcast. It would have to be like a scripted sitcom or something about how we create the podcast.
I'm sure that'll like, light the ratings on fire.
And his very last item on how to make money off Curmudgeon's Corner. Not make horrible podcast.
Well, okay.
Okay. Let's take a break. We will come back and do some serious stuff until I have to get out of here to take my wife to the airport. This will probably end up once we take out like when I edit this and we don't include the half hour of technical difficulties that folks on the live stream would see. This may be short. We'll see. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, we're good enough. Here we go.
What?
No, that was bad. Oh, no, that was bad. No, I don't like that either. Once upon a rainbow, you were on the floor, eating the bugs that you found upon my face. No, that's
What?
Bye. Okay. Two other quick things to mention before we hit the serious stuff. One, while we were recording this first segment, I have a big glass of water to drink while I have this. And while we were recording,
I thought it was just to pour it over your head, but okay.
Oh yeah, sometimes, but my son comes in here and he has apparently purchased himself a package of something that he's over there opening. And then he comes and it's a light. He shows me a light. He flashes it in my face while I'm trying to record. I'm like, you're distracting me. I'm trying to listen to Yvonne. Stop this. But then he starts dropping these into my cup of water. It turns out he bought a whole bunch of waterproof LED light things that have a remote control, so you can change the colors, you can change whatever.
Okay, Sam. Wait. Were these cleaned before you put them in your water?
I probably not, but he dropped them in there, and I drank out of it anyway.
Can you please not drink that water? God only knows what chemicals coated those fucking little lights.
Well,
Let's try to avoid that.
Maybe he bought food safe versions. I don't know, because you could see wanting to do this in drinks in restaurants.
Yeah, and I have seen that. Yeah, but
or maybe he bought the kind that are meant for fish ponds or something. I don't know, but I was still thirsty. Anyway, I have this Glass full. Oh, he's showing me the thing. Is it food safe? Mini submersible LED lights, table centerpieces. They're probably not food safe.
No.
Great for the centerpiece, vase, pond,
Yes,
swimming
they're the
pool,
ones that
fish
you
tanks.
put like
It does mention ice buckets, but you're not supposed to eat
Ice
that ice,
bucket.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but you know, I'm sure they weren't that dirty. As I'm drinking it, also, it doesn't taste great. But
you think?
well, it tastes about the same as it did before. Also, there have been here in the Pacific Northwest, just over the last 24, 48 hours, forest fires. Not in my immediate area, but close enough that it's been smoky.
That's not good for you.
So, like, it's actually cleared up a little bit today, but yesterday afternoon, it was really bad. Like, it was like when I was driving home from work, there was a point where it felt like I went into a wall of smoke. And
Nice.
then it was just like you could feel it when you breathed. You couldn't see very far. Visibility was bad. And yeah, so there have been some there have been some fires in British Columbia where the smoke has been making over here, and apparently within the last 48 hours, there's also been a big fire in eastern Washington that's been contributing to it. I'm not sure if it's the same one where ICE picked up some of the firemen like last week sometime. There was a big deal. That was a story there where ICE raided the team of firemen who were actively combating the fire and arrested several of them and took them away. Which moves us on to the regular serious topics.
Well, we already talked about immigration earlier, so well, I guess we can revisit it a little bit we
can talk about the Hyundai plant, maybe.
Yeah, that's what well, it goes together with the whole jobs report. Hey, Sam,
yes.
What did you hear about the jobs report for the last 3 months?
I heard that it sucked again, even though apparently we're now, we fired the person who gave us the bad numbers, so I don't understand why we would have another bad one.
By the way, first thing that happened is something that I don't recall ever having happened. And as the jobs report was going to be released, all of a sudden they said, oh, we got to delay because we got some technical difficulties.
Mm.
And I was like, wait, what? Which was suspicious in and of itself. Okay, I was like, oh, technical difficulties? What? Trump doesn't like the number?
Right. That's the technical difficulty you would think, yeah.
Yeah. And they released the number, and there were more downward revisions for the previous monthly numbers.
Including making one of them negative.
Negative, yeah. So, I mean, look, the uncertainty right now related to tariff policies is causing people to pause investments. I mean, there is no way that you as a company are confident in going and spending and investing money in a whole bunch of projects because of all the uncertainty he has created over the tariffs. Even if they were legal, take the legal issue out of the equation, which is also another problem now.
Because courts, the
have been validated.
Have said that these tariffs are illegal. It's stayed pending appeal, and it will undoubtedly go to SCOTUS.
The appeal. First you have the lower court that said it's invalid. The appeal was, affirmed the lower court. The administration is right now. That decision had 30 days. They've appealed to Supreme Court, right now. The bottom line is that they've lost at both levels, and it's been pretty much unanimous. There is, there is no, the law does not support this administration doing this. Okay, but put the legal aside. Okay, the entire construct of these tariffs and the capriciousness of them and how they have changed and how they are, how they seem, even when you think they're set, they keep changing.
Right.
Because he'll wake up one day and say he wants to stick this country with this, stick this country with that. We're going to negotiate this. The fact that there are no treaties.
I mean, there were some changes with what was it, Japan, even this week? Like,
yeah,
there was some
there's
deal
constant
where
changes.
Yes,
there's constant changes. There's been negotiations going on with Canada and Mexico. So the one thing is that Trump railed, well, all these executives want certainty. And I'm like, you bet your fucking ass they do, because if you're going to make a decision to shift manufacturing from point A to point B at some point, have to spend millions or billions of dollars on it, you're not, first of all, doing that investment takes years for it to, for you to get that manufacturing set up.
right.
And you're not going to commit, you're not going to commit right now billions to do something that 3 months from now you're going to fucking change again. So basically, anybody who's out of investment, they're just saying, lifting their hands up and just saying, I'm not going to invest anything. And the action that they're doing is right now, first, is that there's a whole bunch of pricing uncertainty. And a whole bunch of companies are a little bit leery of passing all the price increases they see through, simply because if later change their mind, it goes back, then I just raise the prices, I'm going to lower them. You don't want to be doing that. You don't want to be changing prices back and forth the whole damn time. Okay? That because that's gonna hurt people. And then you've got this whole there are going to be some looming shortages. Okay? One thing that I've heard right now is that especially with European vehicles, okay, this is the one where I heard this specifically. All right, you got, ships take 30 days, 60 days, or 30 days, I think, from Europe to make it over here usually. From the moment you load it on the ship, bring it over here, offload it, whatever, okay, and then clear customs. All of a sudden, you heard that the court's going to invalidate the tariffs. Okay, got 30 days. Think you just shipped a ship usually will have a couple of $100 million worth of cars on it, right? The tariff's 25%. Hey, give me 30 days. They make this go away. What would you do? Would you pay the $50 million right now to offload them now, extra $50 million, or would you dock the ship, just throw anchor in the ship, and say, "Listen, guys, you stay out there until we figure out what the fuck is going on"? You gotta hold off
as long as you can. If
right.
there's so much as a rumor that it's going to change, yeah, I mean, eventually you're going to have to land them. You're not going to keep them there years, but
you're not going to keep them there years, but they sure as hell stay there months. And here's the one thing: the thing is that as a supply chain is something that it's like you get the effect of. You ever seen these videos where they show the impact of a slowdown in traffic and how it flows all the way back?
Mm-hmm.
You stop that ship for 30 days, that translates further and further and further down the wave. It's really, the disruptions have this ripple effect, okay? Because you're stopping this machinery that was designed for decades, not just now, to be this machine that just, picked up, shipped, delivered on time, all of these items. And all of a sudden you're fucking telling it to brake and stop and brake and go and brake. Oh, we brake. Oh, no, accelerate. It doesn't, thing was not designed for this. Okay, so
I mean,
that's one issue. So you've got that issue with suppliers. Suppliers, a lot of people.
It's not like we don't even have recent examples of this. We had
with
that
COVID.
We had COVID, and we had that time like the thing was stuck in the Suez Canal.
Yes, Suez. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
You know, so you've got a lot of companies that all of a sudden are like, what the hell? We also had this buildup of inventories, okay? Which people, what are they doing? They're right now playing a waiting game. They're playing a waiting game, and if your profits are, and listen, if your costs are higher because you've got to buy certain things, your profits are going to be squeezed. You're going to start. You're not going to be investing. You're going to start cutting. I shared a video that was like from a meeting of farmers in Arkansas with congressmen and senators, them explaining how the tariffs right now have completely dried up their export markets for certain products. How, like right now, especially for the soybean market, U.S. was one of the largest exporters of soybeans. Soybean exporters are getting completely killed. Because China put these retaliatory tariffs on U.S. soybeans. So that market is completely dried up. They're buying them now from Brazil. They're not buying them from us. A whole bunch of farmers
Are complaining.
It's not just they're complaining. Farmers are getting killed financially.
Yes.
And many
there's
of them
a reason
said that basically, and many of them have said that basically, to some, the only option they've got is to take out federal government handouts. So we've replaced right now, we have killed a massive export of the United States to be replaced by government handouts. I mean, what the fuck is this?
Well, and to be clear, this is one of the complaints as well, is apparently the big, beautiful bill did include some support for farmers, but that won't kick in till next year. Right. And so there are a bunch of farmers who are like, that's going to be too late. I'm not going to be able to make it till
we're going to be bankrupt by then. Yeah, but it's also some support. I mean, we literally just, there's an article in Bloomberg recently. The headline was how Trump has basically made it that the rest of the world doesn't want to buy U.S. agricultural products.
Right. Look, the whole tariff infrastructure is fundamentally hostile to trade. That's the bottom line. It's intentional. I mean, that's Trump's stated goal.
The problem is that American farming was one of the most efficient machines out there and profitable. And so all of a sudden you've made it that we're more expensive than everybody else.
I mean, Trump's ideal vision of the world is that every country is self-contained and doesn't trade at all. And so it's
actually no. Trump wants the mercantilist one. Trump wants he wants every equation to be a winner. Mercantilism is that you export it as much and you import it as little as possible. That was the basic philosophy, and that's the one that he wants.
Yes.
Which
I was oversimplifying. He thinks exports are okay. Yes, but he wants no imports. He wants to be completely self-sufficient. Right. But the thing is, it doesn't work that way, as you have just pointed out. Like, if you are hostile to the imports, people are going to be hostile to your imports, and then the exports dry up. And there's certain areas where we're at an advantage. There's certain areas where we're not. But all of this just works to shut things down, and it's like all of the people who knew what the hell they were talking about told you this was going to happen, but Donald Trump has his thing for tariffs, and it just in general, and that's even if you were stable about it. even if you just said, oh, okay, we're going to have high tariffs across the board, that's it, no negotiation, no changes, whatever. But add on top of that the instability and uncertainty that you've been talking about, then it just becomes harder and harder. Now, obviously, some countries sort of scrambled to like, hey, what can we give to make this 15% instead of 35% or whatever? And a few of them have made these deals. And in many cases, as we've talked
But
about
even
on here
those
before,
deals, the problem is that those deals are not final. They're not
no,
treaties. They're
they're
just
all
like
handshakes.
they're all letters of
And,
intent. We don't
and
have a
most of
fucking proper
them,
deal.
right? And most of them we've talked about before. Not only are they just letters of intent or verbal agreements or whatever, but in many of the cases, the countries have only conceded to things they were doing anyway.
Yeah.
They're just saying like, oh yeah, we'll do this, and are relying on the fact that Trump and his people either don't know or don't care that that was the plan anyway.
And then, the thing I'll give you an example of Planet thing. Donald Trump was taking credit for the massive Hyundai manufacturing plant, which the immigration raided this week.
Right.
Which is a complex that when in full operation was going to employ 8,500 people. So you take a multiplier effect usually of jobs for something like that. It's like minimum for such a large investment in factory, minimum 3 times, usually way more. Okay, for a factory
for that,
of that size.
Just to be clear, the multiplier you're talking about is there's the people employed by the factory itself, but then okay, you need restaurants where they can eat lunch. You need
houses, restaurants,
yes.
Shopping for clothes, purchasing
yes.
of supplies, maintenance of contract. Everything that goes around, all the inputs that go into the factory, and the tax, the taxes, the sales tax multiplier. I mean, it's just so much. Okay, a factory with that kind of investment and that many jobs generates such a crazy multiplier effect around it. Okay, from everything. Okay, from the moment of the manufacturing to all the property taxes to all. I mean, everything. Even if you give them a waiver in property taxes, still, all those employees have to get houses, have to get fed, have to, will shop for clothes, will buy, everything around there. It is such a huge multiplier effect. Okay. And these fuckers go in there because the thing is, all of these are meant to be, they're for show.
Mm-hmm.
Because if immigration had an issue with visas for a lot of people there, they could have called the management and said, hey, we've got these violations. We need to discuss how these visas are being handled. But no, what do they want to do? They want to show a show of force, and they show up and they arrest all these people. Arrested hundreds of them, including a whole bunch of executives traveling on business from Korea, as many of us do when something is being manufactured or something, whatever. I remember when I used to go to HP's factory, say in Mexico, for example, and we would go and have discussions about inventory and stuff and whatever we're talking about, how stuff is being stored, but all that kind of stuff, which is what usually somebody from headquarters goes to do at the operation over there. And when you're setting up a factory of that size, you're going to need a lot of people from corporate to make sure it's being executed to the way that you had planned out for it to be executed. Okay, and so. But they were saying that some people maybe had been overstaying some visas. This was, this was something that somebody could have just shown up and said, "Hey, we've got concerns about these people. We need to discuss what the hell is going on here. Why are these people? These are the most part just minor violations. That, by the way, Americans incur on a regular basis, probably on some business trips and overseas assignments."
Right.
Okay. And so my whole thing is, you guys want to start this cycle where other countries are retaliating and it's just arresting like U.S. business travelers because of some minor bullshit violation? Is this what we're doing? This is what we're fucking doing now.
I got the error up on the screen again.
Oh,
Hold on.
What the fuck is going on?
By the way, while I restart this, your I am when you touched your microphone a second ago, it didn't make any noise. I think you're on your headphones, but anyway.
Well,
anyway, I'm gonna hit the refresh button and see what happens. Don't refresh yours so that the live stream continues and everything stays together. Okay, hold on. And let me.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'm on my headphones.
Yeah.
Okay. I picked the wrong thing when I logged in. Okay.
Yeah, that's it's you've been sounding like the sound quality has been inconsistent in a way that's always the case when you're on headphones. But... okay, I'm gonna hit the refresh button now.
What the hell? Okay.
Okay,
Are we
hold on.
back?
Almost, I think. I need to. Okay, here we go. So you were talking about retaliating with if other places want to harass U.S. business travelers.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to start a cycle that is just, really dangerous. But one thing that I think is critical, and why I brought this up in terms of, and we're talking about what happened with jobs and investment, is that Trump was trying to take credit for this plant, as I mentioned earlier. This happened. This plant happened because of the Biden Inflation Reduction Act. That's
Right.
why this plant is occurring. It has nothing to do with fucking Trump. This investment had started years ago. The reality is that the Inflation Reduction Act puts incentives on electric cars. This entire facility is focused on, dedicated on building electric cars. They're building Ionic 5s, Ionic 6s, EV6s. They're building batteries. They're going to be selling batteries. So this whole thing is focused on everything related to the Inflation Reduction Act. Not one fucking iota having to do with anything that Trump did. This construction started years ago. It's already producing cars. It had nothing to do with fucking Trump. And he started trying to take credit. You see, this is how tariffs do bullshit. No, not one fucking thing. And
But
it just it
like
highlights
just going
but it highlights how long what I'm saying is how long it takes
right.
for somebody to set a policy and for companies to invest in how it works. And that's why the IRA, that's why the CHIPS Act, we're doing what the fuck Trump is saying. And Trump is going and right now destroying those jobs. He is literally going and destroying those jobs, which is why job duration right now isn't like shit, because he is destroying that. He's destroying trade while not offering anything really to replace it, other than drill, baby, drill. And oh, wait, and better, hey, to the sectors that need immigrant work, because we're targeting most of these poor people. He's ripping away the people that they need, so they don't have what is in this article from Bloomberg this week also, that mass deportations are creating a workforce crisis, because they are creating a workforce crisis where the fuck we need jobs, okay? Because it's, with the number of deportations, one of the things that is happening right now is that, we've got the shortage of farm workers all of a sudden for the stuff that is like fresh fruits, vegetables, stuff that is the stuff that comes to our tables.
Well,
okay?
I was going to say that the immigration
are rotting. They're in California and Texas. Crops are rotting in the fields for lack of workers to pick them. So you're creating food. Do you realize how fucking incompetent you have to be to create food inflation at the same time as you're killing our agricultural exports? It takes fucking skill to beat this fucking fucked up.
Well, and going back to Hyundai for a little bit and sort of detaining people who are here on business trips, like if you're looking for foreign investment in the country, this is a great way to discourage that too. Like
everything you were doing runs against the fucking bullshit rhetoric that you say.
Yes, it's all a continuous theme of all of this stuff is, I mean, you've said this before, like, if you take some of what they say they're trying to do at face value, then they're still really stupid.
Right.
In terms of like, this is not a good way to achieve the things you say you're trying to achieve.
Nope.
And you start thinking, well, then is their actual goal actually just to destroy everything? Because or are they really dumb enough to think that what they're doing will have these great positive effects and it doesn't?
No, I do think that Trump is stupid enough to believe that what he's doing will somehow, because we talked about that he's been able to, in so many cases, force things to happen, regardless of anything, to just to bend reality to his will.
Yes.
He thinks that somehow he's going to be able to bend his reality. The reality is that, and you talk about, well, has he bent reality to his will? Listen, for the most part, all he's done is survive. All he has ever done. It's just about survival. It's shucking and jiving and getting attention to himself as a narcissist, which everything that he does that. And to him, the attention and just being able to appear successful is more important than success itself. So what does that mean? I will say that I'm going to create the greatest economy ever. As long as he can tell this bullshit to his followers and they believe it, he doesn't care if it's real.
Right.
Because it's just like, oh, I'm going to build the greatest hotel ever, even though it's shit. I'm going to make, my casinos and my golf courses are wonderful, whatever, even though they are tacky, crappy, and lose money constantly. Because he figures out some way that somebody bails him out. Every time somebody bailed him out, man. Every fucking time. And his last biggest bailout was fucking winning the presidency again.
Yes.
The voters bailed the motherfucker out just as he was on the brink. His father bailed him out. The banks bailed him out. Banks repeatedly bailed him out. And then Republican voters came along and did it again.
Right. Okay. I want to lightning round through a few other things because for
we
those
seem
of
to
you,
be having some technical
for those of you not on the live stream, we just lost another 10 minutes to technical difficulties, all on my end. I don't know what the hell is up with my computer. It keeps like crashing, and nothing's different than it was like yesterday. I don't know. But anyway, so the Venezuelan boat that we blew up.
It was we committed a war crime, Sam. We just went out. They said a drunk boat. How do we know that was a drunk boat?
So
I didn't know anything about that fucking boat. Listen, we just went out there. I'm sorry. And even if it was,
yeah,
I'm sorry, under the international rules of maritime law, you don't have the right to just go and blow up a boat.
No.
For no reason whatsoever.
You can intercept it, you can detain it, you can give it warnings, but you can't just blow it up. The administration says they have radio intercepts and all kinds of other stuff. But like you said, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't give them the right to just shoot them out of the water.
And apparently at the Pentagon, there were all kinds of discussions about this was not okay. This was a war crime. There was no justification. And then there was an after the fact scramble to try to come up with a legal justification for this. And the memo they put out, that I think this was a notification to Congress they had to make, basically just said, we did it under the president's Article 2 powers. That's it. They didn't say anything else beyond that, which is not.
That doesn't negate that it's a war crime.
Well, and it's not within the Article 2 powers, theoretically. I mean, the stance of this administration.
The right to declare war?
Well, the stance of this administration is basically that the president can do anything. That is their stated. That is their stated opinion, is that there are absolutely no limits on presidential power. The president can do whatever the hell they want. And that's basically what they said in their justification for this. Now, and here's our fundamental problem. Okay, let's say this was clearly illegal. Who's going to do something about it?
Not the Supreme Court, not Congress.
Yeah, nobody. Let's bring them up in charges and The ICC? No.
Right.
Nobody's going to pay attention to that either. This is yet another. This is the Trump administration systematically, over the course of the presidency so far, has been taking more and more and more steps to just say, okay, we're going to do it. Who the fuck's going to stop us? Like their fundamental mindset, and we've talked about this before. I talked about this a little last week as well, but is that there is no conception whatsoever in this administration of, oh, let's check if this is legal or not, and then we'll do it. No, it's we will do what we want.
And then try to justify it whatever way we want.
Or not even like, then we'll see if somebody tries to stop us. Of course they'll take us to court.
Yeah.
And okay.
And some things, but the courts are slow. And in many cases, the courts have, the Supreme Court has ruled on their side. It goes and reminds me of the issue that, we didn't put in here, but the Harvard decision that came this week. And the one thing that happened in that, and the one thing that I forgot to point out was that in the decision, basically, the judges went and scolded the Supreme Court. Okay, by the way. And in which they said, because you remember that they said recently that the Supreme Court had written an opinion, something about lower courts defying our orders. And this just ripped back and says, she acknowledged that, I'm quoting from this article from MSNBC, still called so, Judge in Harvard's case calls Justice Gorsuch's comments unhelpful and unnecessary. She acknowledged that, like lower court judges, the justices are doing their best to resolve complex issues quickly. Given this, however, she wrote, it's unhelpful and unnecessary to criticize district courts for defying the Supreme Court when they are working to find the right answer in a rapidly evolving doctrinal landscape. They must grapple with both existing precedent and interim guidance from the Supreme Court that appears to set that precedent aside without much explanation or consensus.
Right.
Basically, you guys are wiping your ass with the doctrine that has ruled our courts forever, and then your guys are giving a shit because we can't follow it when you guys just decide to fucking just say, oh yeah, Trump did it, it's right. And you're saying we need to follow you when you don't give us any fucking explanation why.
Well, and Kavanaugh this week as well, I forget what forum he said this in, but he was quoted as saying, well, the reason we do a bunch of these things on the shadow docket and without a lot of explanation is we can't get 5 justices to agree on an explanation.
Then you fuckers shouldn't be doing it if you guys can't come to a consensus to explaining it. Jesus fucking Christ, if that isn't a clear signal of how fucked up whatever you're deciding is, what is?
Right. And yeah. So yeah, and the problem with the court, the Trump approach of do it and then see who stops us, is that even when the courts do rule against them, like you said, it takes a long time. And they can change the facts on the ground in such a way that by the time the court finally gets around to giving a definitive answer, and it goes through all the goddamn appeals and blah 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 blah, it doesn't matter anymore because the facts on the ground have already changed. And and we'll see. Like the Supreme Court in some
cases, that Kilmar Abrego, by the way, with all the Puerto Ricans whatever, has not been deported again. Okay,
not yet. Yeah. And
they kept threatening it, but they haven't done it.
Now, and there've been talks now of 3 different places that he could be going. And apparently, his lawyers.
Here's the problem: they're all retaliatory. This is all just fucking like.
No, they're all retaliatory, but also apparently, the government has been trying to get him to admit to some of these things he's accused
of.
Right,
they want him to admit guilty in exchange
for a better place to be deported to.
Yeah, fuck you guys.
I
mean, it's such horse shit.
With these kinds of things, frankly, like it's actually surprising to me that obviously this won't work for every case everywhere, but for some of these high visibility cases, I'm surprised that some random nice country hasn't just come in and said, we'll give him asylum. Not only that, we'll give him asylum, we'll take care of him. Like, let's get
I
this taken
believe
care
there are
of.
some talks about that, but since it hasn't happened yet, I mean, but yeah.
And some
But I don't
rich
think. Listen,
guy
Kilmer
saying
has
we'll
his
bankroll
family
you.
here. He's married to. He's married to. He doesn't want. He honestly,
I know,
he doesn't want to
stay
go. He
here.
wants to go home.
I know he wants
He
to go
wants
home,
to go home.
but you know, you give the right billionaire says, look, we'll give you a nice salary to go live in Spain.
Listen, you asked me about earlier about what would motivate me to move. You know, the other day I was going around. I love where I live. I don't want to go.
Right.
I want to go. My friends are here. My family is here. Whatever the hell is here. But I may be forced to go because there is no choice. But I don't want to go.
Yeah. Okay. Back to the lightning round here. Trump is alive, despite all the rumors. And he seems.
But listen.
Yes.
Trump must have been seriously hurt. Something had to happen. There is no way he stayed out for that many days where all of a sudden he was going to sleep early, where all of a sudden people were sending out truth social messages on his behalf, unless something happened. Okay? And it's something that they wanted to make sure that nobody noticed.
I think the most reasonable explanation that accounts for all of the various things that have been talked about is that he had some sort of medical procedure that was serious enough that he had to recover for it, but not so serious that he had to be like sent to Walter Reed for it. It was something that they could do at the White House. And
listen, wait. I'm sorry. No, knowing who it is, it probably was serious enough to go to fucking the hospital. But by doing so, that would have created even more rumors. So what do you probably say? Fuck you, you guys are doing it here.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. And look, like the White House, has some medical facilities.
Yeah.
Like, it is set up so that it can be an emergency bunker and blah, 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 blah.
They needed, in that case, listen, he wants to build a goddamn ballroom. He built a fucking, he cemented over the Rose Garden. Listen, he did all of this shit. I'm sure that he probably had him build a fucking OR if he needed.
Oh, I'm sure there was already one. Like,
no, but he probably, if they needed more shit, they probably brought in, bring in whatever the fuck you need.
Yeah, probably. I mean, but in the end, though, I think, it was some sort of, I'm guessing. This is guess and speculation. There was some sort of medical procedure he had to do that sort of had him not in great shape for a few days while he recovered. He is clearly sort of back to normal at this point.
Now, there is one thing that we didn't mention, so Trump's alive, okay, all right? Yes. So, hopefully he'll be dead soon. But anyway, but not right now. But, aside from that, another quick hit to mention related to these interventions in cities and so forth and so on. And there's been a lot of threats and talk, and, we talked about Chicago and whatever, and now that hasn't happened yet because I do know, by the way, I saw some not so guarded, statements from Governor Pritzker that basically he said he was going to deploy law enforcement to kind of like counter if they tried to like send in troops. Okay, basically to force almost a standoff, which is what I've been saying for months that they should do. I'm like, look, state polices right now are almost as militarized. I'm not sure that even more militarized are our National Guard. Hey, you know what? Tell them, hey, they're in violation of the law. If they move in and they do something illegal, arrest them. Fuck that shit. Blockade them. You got more of them anyway. They're gonna send, a few hundred, guard troops. Great. We'll deploy 1,000 state police. We'll surround you guys. See what the fuck you guys do. What are you gonna do?
We'll see. I mean,
but right now they haven't done anything. Okay, but
nothing's done yet. But Trump has been posting about it again today.
Yeah. But you know what? Like right now, that's been like it almost sounds like right now he's starting to sound like his trade deals. Okay, all right with this.
Well,
okay,
at one point in the last couple of days, he even said, "Well, we've been talking about Chicago, but maybe we'll do New Orleans instead."
now we're going to go to exactly. It sounded like a trade deal, but anyway, aside from that, the one thing that's been happening, ICE enforcement, is far more arbitrary than arresting people and sending them to the courts. I don't know if
Well,
you've noticed,
and
but wait,
here,
heck back. That's
okay.
not the point. The point is that right now in DC, they've done this takeover, whatever, and they've been trying to send people to criminal charges. Well, guess what? The grand juries, which by the way, as somebody said, a grand jury usually will fucking like even indict a ham sandwich. Okay,
Yes.
they've been rejecting all the fucking indictments. They've been like, just fuck all of you. So the and in numbers you've never see ever. The grand jury just saying, all I'll ever say, this is not a criminal case. Fuck you. And so they're having this issue where, yes, on that side of the equation, they can go like whatever, but they keep trying to like force criminal charges and a whole bunch of stuff, and all grand juries are just all no billing.
Yeah, there've been like 6 of them so far, and that's really
But
unheard
Sam,
of.
that's unprecedented. Okay, all right.
Yes. And like you said, like they're making the show out of the dealing with criminals, but the actual effect of almost all of these actions has been almost all the immigration side. Almost all like grabbing people for not having their papers and sending them off to these detention camps or whatever. It's still, I mentioned last week, one of the problems here is they're doing so much of it so consistently that people are starting to become numb to it. And
that's what happens. Look, that's what happens in like listen, that's what happens in dictatorial societies.
Absolutely.
Like,
that's the point.
I mean, but people become numb in the sense also that they stop being intimidated by it too in the other way. Okay, they just don't give a shit anymore. Okay, the people are trying to intimidate at some point. I mean, intimidation only works to a certain point. Until one point, you're just like, oh, fuck it, whatever. I mean, how much intimidation can you shove down somebody's throat? It just is what it is. It's just at some point that now, of course, the one thing that they keep trying to do is trying to amp it up every other time. Okay.
Well, it almost feels like they've been hoping at every turn that at some point this turns violent. At some point, the peaceful protests turn violent. At some point, this becomes an all-out shooting thing, where somebody is resisting and blah, 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 because they want to like escalate further. It hasn't happened so far, which I think is actually a good thing. But it almost seems like the administration is just looking for the excuse to escalate whereby they can, make this even worse.
And so far they failed.
Okay, next lightning round.
Hey, how did RFK Jr. do in Congress? A lot of truth, told. He was use science and all that stuff.
Obviously not.
We got a fucking heroin addict in charge of Health and Human Services that doesn't know anything about anything, Sam. He has no clue about nothing. Everything is just some kind of conjecture and bullshit that he pulls out of his ass whenever it suits him. Now, autism is caused by Tylenol.
So on the Tylenol thing, just to be clear, there was a paper last year and a new one last month that does talk about a correlation, but I've listened to a few people sort of go through like why this isn't what people think it is. So there is apparently a minor correlation Tylenol use in pregnant women and autism in the kids, but there are dozens and dozens of confounding factors that are not accounted for in this study. There's a question here at the most fundamental level. Is it the Tylenol they took, or is it whatever symptoms they were having that caused them to take the Tylenol?
Take the Tylenol.
You know, like did they had a fever and they took a Tylenol? Maybe that has something to do with it. There are all kinds of confounding factors. There are all kinds of
So it's
reasons
just the
that
whole damn thing. You use the key word that always got taught in statistics. That is the bane of our existence. For most human beings that don't understand correlation, because correlation is not causation. It's the first fucking thing you get taught in damn fucking statistics. And
right.
just because there is some fucking correlation, it doesn't mean most of the time what the fuck you think it means.
Yeah, and look, as I've listened to some of the people talking about this, they're like, at the very most, has been here so far is like, okay, maybe we could study a little bit more along this Tylenol
Hey
direction.
Sam, do you
But
know that
but
I
for the
think there was a
most part,
study? Sam,
it's like there has not been any causal relationship found. There's
hey
no
Sam, Sam, let me tell you something. I saw a study. I think there's a study. Probably there is one somewhere that found that as temperatures get really hot and people drink a lot more water, okay,
yes.
that apparently there's a correlation with how much water they're drinking and heat stroke.
Mm,
So
water causes heat
it,
stroke.
it, it must be the water that's causing the heat stroke. I mean,
Yes.
they're drinking all that fucking water, and all of a sudden they're getting heat stroke. Sam, what the fuck?
But yes, and look, there are so many problems with how RFK approaches all these things. It's hard to even start.
Listen,
I
so
mean,
many problems. Listen, it's no many problems. No, there's a basic problem. He doesn't believe in science.
yes,
That's it. It starts with that.
well, also, I will add to that something aligned with what you said earlier. He's a eugenicist as well. Like
Right.
he doesn't believe in science, but also very much so he believes in survival of the fittest, and if you have
Yes.
some problem you should die.
You
And like
should
you were
die.
saying you were
Yeah.
saying earlier, like he doesn't
Yes.
believe that, like the whole thing with this autism thing is it's all couched in like, oh, this is a massive tragedy, that like this is
Yes.
horrible,
Yes.
these people have been ruined in some way, and
Yes.
and no,
Yeah.
no,
No.
not at all.
And I gotta
And
be honest, if his style of eugenics causes us to create people like him, fuck this shit, man. Because he is a walking, talking example of how. If you're talking about, if I want to design eugenics, I sure as hell don't want him to come out looking like fucking RFK Jr. I'll tell you that.
well, yeah, I mean, fundamentally, if you look at problems that you don't want in a population, he's full of
He's
them.
full of them. I mean, if you're gonna apply eugenics, the first motherfucker we should have eliminated is you. You stupid shithead.
um, but yeah, like he doesn't understand the science, and he's fundamentally coming from a viewpoint that devalues life in the first place.
Yes.
And yeah, and the thing is that was interesting about these hearings were the Republicans were going after him too. It wasn't just the Democrats. And it
The layup that the Republicans have in order to show that they have even one little modicum of fucking spine is the fucking go and damn it, you know, what you would call it? Oh God, impeach this son of a bitch.
Well,
in
even
the
short of
United States, in
even
the United States, 80% of Americans, 80% of Americans still believe in vaccinations. 80.
yes.
Okay. All right.
Now,
So
unfortunately, a lot of them really need to be 90 plus in order to be as
no,
effective as they
but
could be.
still,
But yes,
but with all the horse shit that we've
I know.
had, even still over 60% of Republicans support vaccinations, even if they say maybe the COVID one, no. The rest they do. They don't want polio. They don't want measles. They don't want most of this shit.
I saw someone, this is social media, so who knows, it was probably made up, but someone saying that they were talking to someone who was explaining why they didn't trust vaccinations and why they didn't get their kid vaccinated, and they're like, half the diseases they want me to vaccinate the kid for
I
I've
never
never
heard
even
of them.
heard of.
Right.
And there's a reason you haven't heard of
you
these diseases.
asshole. There's a whole damn reason why, you stupid shit.
Yeah, and you know, part of what was going on in this hearing was he was like, "Oh, I'm anybody can still get their vaccinations. I'm not denying anybody anything."
No, he's causing them to. He's making it more difficult. He's causing insurance companies that can find a way to deny them. He's forcing people to go and have to get prescriptions on sort of vaccination. This is bullshit. He is no.
And what I was saying is, even short of impeachment, if the Republicans could apply pressure, right, to, I mean,
they
Donald
have, and
Donald
that's the
Trump,
reason why he got pissed off and fired the CDC lady, because Bill Cassidy called him and fucking like laid him a new one over the shit that he was trying to do, and that's the reason why they wound up firing her. So they have been already at this point, because it's horseshit. Well, but by the way, those motherfucking Republicans, you know what the thing is? They voted to confirm that bastard, who's not even a fucking real Republican anyway.
And look, part of it is like, yeah, especially these two doctors who, you know, Republican doctors are like, well, he promised us. Oh, come on.
You fucking idiot. I mean, what kind of fucking, I mean, yeah, keep telling that to yourself.
Here's the thing with Donald Trump. He has shown in the past that if somebody is embarrassing him and making him look bad, he will fire them.
Yeah, that's true.
So the question is, can this be constructed in such a way that RFK Jr. becomes just an out and out embarrassment to Donald Trump among his own base?
That's what we need. You know what we need? We need to get Laura Loomer on board.
There you go. Okay. One more. The Epstein victims coming out and speaking and talking about things. Look, this has not gone away yet as much as Trump wanted it. We do not have the file. Well, some have been released, but some that were released were almost all in the public domain anyway.
Yeah, they released the shit that we already have. They did what our trade partners do to us. They gave us the shit that we already had.
Now, supposedly there's still more coming, et cetera, et cetera. But look, there's been the whole thing on Congress trying to vote. There's this discharge petition where the Democrats plus a handful of Republicans, including like Marjorie Taylor Greene, for God's sake, and a few others, who are to push this resolution to demand a full disclosure. Now, I want to state right out front, like, people have been talking about this discharge petition, like even if this thing passed, it would have force of law. No, this is just a resolution asking the administration to do something. So even if they pass it, he can still ignore it. But it's still significant that they haven't got enough Republicans yet. They've got Republicans on board and they need like 4 more or something like that. I forget the exact numbers, but they need a few more in order to pass this thing out of the House.
Hey, Sam, but Speaker Johnson.
Yes, I was going to bring this up next. Yes.
That Trump was the insider.
Yes.
He was the informant. He was in there trying to bring truth and justice to everybody. That's why he was friends of Epstein.
Well, this is actually interesting. Like, people immediately pointed out that, Johnson, maybe this isn't the thing you wanted it to be in terms of exonerating. Fuck. Hold on, Yvonne.
Again,
we got to do this thing again, one last time, and then we'll just close this.
No, we just have to end right away after.
Yeah. Well, we'll finish talking about Johnson. Okay, hold on. God damn it.
A Sam se le sigue crashing la puta computadora. And I don't know why that doesn't work. Estábamos por terminar, pero la computadora has crashed like 4 times. Good lord.
Okay, let's wrap this sucker up. It, this thing is not a get out of jail free card, because if in fact he was an FBI informant, it means he knew something. If he knew something, he was probably involved. Like the whole thing, they typically, when you offer an informant status, and by the way, there have been rumors about Trump being an informant for other things going back decades and decades as well.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
But basically, like, did the FBI catch Donald Trump doing something and then offered him a deal to roll up on Epstein instead? Who knows? We don't know. This is speculation out of a single comment from Johnson, but basically saying that Trump, don't worry about all this. Trump told me he was an FBI informant, which, you know, like, I don't know that he was supposed to say that. Who knows? But and meanwhile, the victims themselves have said they're going to compile their own list. And people have asked, well, why haven't they named names to begin with? It's because, like, if they come out independent,
they could be sued.
They could be sued out of existence. They're talking about rich, famous, influential people that potentially they could name.
Simple.
And if they just came out and said, oh yeah, they raped me, without having the level of evidence required to actually bring a criminal case. And remember, like, that sweetheart deal in Florida from decades ago potentially said they weren't going after any of these co-conspirators. So there are all kinds of things here. So, but they're talking about giving the list to the Congress people, and like Marjorie Taylor Greene and these others are like, I'll read them on the floor. Because then they have
congressional immunity,
speech and debate immunity, and they can give that. But some of them have said specifically, though, no one's accusing you, Donald Trump. Why don't you just put this out? But I don't know. All of these other things coming together, at the very least, even if Donald Trump wasn't involved directly, and I think we've had all kinds of anecdotal stuff about him liking underage kids himself over the years, even if he wasn't like guilty of that, it certainly seems like he was one of the facilitators, and this is, or at least knew something. And that's one of the things when you listen to the victims talk this week, which they haven't really talked as much, when they are asked what they want out of the files, it's something very different than what you hear otherwise. Like everywhere else you're hearing, we want more of the men. Like we want the rich, famous people who are probably also raping children, right? But when you listen to the victims, what they're at, we want to know the story behind the sweetheart deal in Florida. Why did he get that deal? Who are the people who helped him? They seem to concentrate mostly on, the main perpetrators were, Maxwell and Epstein.
Ghislaine.
Ghislaine Maxwell.
And Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein,
But there are lots of people who helped them get away with it. Those are the people that I want to hear about. Like, and so the victims talked less about like other people who were committing abuse themselves, as to apparently circles of people who were enabling this behavior. Now, there probably were other people actually participating as well. We know about Prince Andrew. Some other names have been out there. So who knows? But like, the point is, it's not going away. Okay.
All right. We got to wrap this up.
Because we had yet another crash of my computer. I don't know what the hell is going on with that. Plus, Yvonne's been on the wrong microphone this whole time, so he sounded like crap. And I got to take my wife to the airport, although she says she's not actually ready yet. So.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
So instead, we'll try to get her ready and then see if we even get to her plane on time. So better stuff. Okay. Thank you for being here. You know the deal. Curmudgeon-corner.com. See all our stuff, all our transcripts, all our old shows, all the ways to contact us, and of course a link to our Patreon where you can go and give us money at various levels. We'll send you a postcard, we'll send you a mug, we'll mention you on the show, we'll ring a bell, all that kind of stuff at $2 a month or more. Or if you just ask us, we will invite you to the Curmudgeon's Corner Slack, where Yvonne and I and a bunch of our listeners are chatting throughout the week and sharing links and all of that kind of stuff. So, Yvonne, how about one highlight from the Slack this week that we have not talked about on the show?
Well, I guess I'll mention, because we got to wrap this up quick, that, Tesla sales, again, reported in Europe. They're not recovering. A lot of people have been speculating, well, the Model Y, the new model, the whatever, blah, 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 blah. Listen, it people in Europe basically have said, "Fuck you, Tesla," in droves. They used to dominate that market. And in the Washington Post, it came out that in Germany, which one of the biggest markets uh, for Tesla, um, they are down. I think it was across Tesla, it dropped 33.6%. In Germany, it was even worse. Um, they dropped 75%.
And they're having
And
declines here too, right?
yes, 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 yes. But it's
Everywhere.
more, it's worse in Europe.
In Europe.
I mean, let's put it this way: market share last year in Germany for Tesla was 11% of all vehicles. This is not just electric, of all vehicles registered in Germany. Okay, all right, think about that. It's the entire market. Okay, I mean, in the U.S., the entire battery electric vehicle market is around that. So imagine the penetration in Germany, where they're 11% of all cars. Through 3 quarters this year, they're down to 3.4%. I mean, that is just a brutal beating that they have taken. And they basically ceded market to now Volkswagen, BMW, and BYD in China. So they're just getting destroyed. And in response to that, the Tesla board, recognizing how bad a job Elon Musk has done, they have decided to award a massive new payout for him. That if it comes to fruition, he could potentially. They use this valuation model, Black-Scholes, in order to value these based on future projections, whatever the fuck, whatnot. It's magic hocus pocus.
Right.
But it still is. It's the estimation based on that model. It estimated it could be worth up to $1 trillion.
Okay.
Fail
Lovely.
upwards, baby.
Yes. Okay. With that, I think we need to be done. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Have a great week. Have a good
Bye.
time. Stay safe. Goodbye. Okay, we'll see how this goes. Depending on what of my stuff got saved and where and what, this is going to be a joy to edit. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Hitting stop.